Hey, everybody. You can help us make Chris DeMakes a podcast even better by telling us a little bit about yourself. Go to surveymonkey.com/r/JDZ3HL7 for a quick listener survey. It only takes a couple minutes and it helps support our team. To show our appreciation, we're giving away 2 $50 gift cards to lucky participants every single month. Head to, go ahead and grab a pen, surveymonkey.com/r/JDZ3HL7 now for your chance to win.
Yeah, you might want to download that Exxon Mobile Rewards Plus app. Yeah.
Are you the Exxon Tiger?
I am. Yeah, new users can earn $10 in points, $5 after your first purchase and $5 after your second. That's a lot. That's a whole lot.
It is.
Well, hey, you get on that download, buddy.
I will.
Loading. Download the Exxon Mobile Rewards Plus app and join today. Exxon. Trust the Tiger.
For details, visit ExxonOffer.com.
Hey gang, today's guest is guitarist Greg Camp from the San Jose, California rock band Smash Mouth. Together we break down the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the debut smash hit single, Walkin On the Sun, taken from their 1997 album, Fush Yu Mang. This is Greg's second time here on the show, and man, we had another great conversation. Walkin On the Sun is a true miracle. The song was originally penned by Greg for another band he was in years previous to Smash Mouth. The guys in that band passed on the song, so the demo cassette was thrown in the closet until Smash Mouth was putting together songs for their debut album. Kevin Coleman, the band's drummer at the time, was given that old cassette of songs. Among them, he heard Walkin On the Sun and told Greg in no uncertain terms, "Dude, this is it." When producer Eric Valentine heard it, he thought the same thing. Greg said the track had everything going against it at first, namely the fact that the song was so different from the rest of the tunes on the record. That uniqueness, to me, is one of the many reasons for its success. Nothing, and I mean nothing, sounded like this song at radio in 1997. So for all this, stick around.
Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast.
Greg, it's been about 2 years since you've been on Chris DeMakes a podcast. June 24th, 2024, we had you on to talk about All-Star, and I'm stoked that you're back. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah, it feels like it's been way shorter than that since we last spoke. And Greg and I have been trying to connect for the past couple months, but anybody living in the Nashville, Tennessee area knows that there's been they get crazy storms over there. So you weathered some nasty storms a couple months ago, and Greg's got a backyard with chickens and animals he has to tend to. So it was quite a mess there for a minute.
Yes, it was. Yeah, but everyone's kind of getting back to normal. But that was sort of like a once in a generation, maybe twice, ice storm, which is different. It's a whole different thing. It sounded like a war zone when we woke up one morning because what happens is all the tree branches freeze and all the leaves and everything freeze, and then they break because of the weight of the ice.
Yeah, I'm over here in opposite side of the state from you. We were really worried about that freeze, and it bypassed us. It went over and got Nashville good. But today we're going to talk about Smash Mouth's breakout single, Walkin On the Sun, debut single from June 1997 from their first album, Fush Yu Mang, track 3 of 12, number 1 song on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart. And what was that like, putting this record out and just boom?
I was just thinking about it this morning because I was trying to figure out what I was going to say. But it was an accident, It seems like a lot of our successes were just kind of like, just being in the right place, the right time with the right song, the right people around it. But that one, I'm going to walk you back a few years.
Please do.
That song's like going to be 30 years old as far as like people who've heard it, for the last 30 or so years. But the song was written for a band I was in before Smash Mouth. We were called Lackadaddy, and it was passed. They passed on it. They were like, nah, that's not the vibe. We're not doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, and so in their defense, it was not a great demo. It wasn't represented correctly until Smash Mouth and the producer of Smash Mouth got his hands on it.
You're blowing my mind, because what did those former bandmates think when this thing went through the stratosphere?
There has been some mixed things about it. Like, they're like, I don't remember ever hearing that song. Like, some people were like, damn, yeah, it's a mix.
Some guys, I imagine, feels like they missed out on the boat, and the other guy's like, I don't remember that at all, which is interesting. You would think with a hook like this, but to your point, the demo was drastically different. But, if I take my mind back 29 years to when this song came on the radio, there was nothing that sounded like this on the radio in 1997, when you guys were sandwiched between, I don't know, Third Eye Blind and whoever else was on the radio at that time. And this had like this 60s thing about it, retro, but it was so 90s at the same time. And I can't wait to get into these lyrics. I have my own idea of what headspace you were in writing some of these lyrics, but I'm curious to see what it actually was. So take us back to initially writing the song.
So it was just after the Rodney King riots and the LA riots and all that stuff. And when you're in your 20s, you think you know everything, and you're pretty sure that you can change the world by writing a protest song. And that's really what it was. I'm like, people need to get along, like Rodney King said, why can't we just get along, and it was like a social injustice kind of microscope sort of thing that I was trying to do. And the original demo sounded more like Jose Feliciano or Santana.
Really?
It had like this real kind of Latin thing about it. And the words weren't necessarily sung. They were more like bullhorned, like I was like standing on a soapbox of some sort, rapping. And I mean, if you listen to it, it's like, if you were to take the melody away and just sort of rap that song, it's sort of like, it's kind of the way the rhythm is of that song, of the lyric. And but Steve ended up singing it instead of rapping it, and that's kind of it. I mean, the lyrics itself, it's really just about me trying to get to my job and riding my bike through a neighborhood and worrying about myself, and to be riding through that neighborhood, and just with the tension at the time, it was scary for everybody, no matter what color you were back then.
It's so funny you wrote this 4 or 5 years prior to it becoming a hit, because that was what I was going to say about the lyrics. I know we're not there yet, but this song just reminds me of being stoned, watching Beavis and Butthead in the early 90s, and all of a sudden those infomercials start coming on. And you hear them over and over, and then, and of course, the chorus of this song, so don't delay, supplies are running out, and all that. I mean, it reminds me of some guys sitting around early 90s being bored, like I said, maybe token a little bit, which the lyrics reference, and there's also some other things in here we're going to get into, but that's what the vibe gave me. And was that at all? Did that at all play into this? Was it part of pop culture, what you were hearing, or?
Definitely, and you kind of nailed it. All the infomercials that were happening, and the psychic reader.
Yeah.
Act now. You heard the Jamaican lady?
Of course.
That it was definitely lifted. All the lyrics were lifted, but from that time in our culture.
Yeah, the lyrics really, I hate throwing the word around genius, because, but these lyrics are pretty up there for me. And I remember thinking that at the time, especially the chorus is just like, God, why didn't I think of that? It's something I could have maybe lifted out of the air, but I didn't. And I kind of feel like you and I had the same conversation last time with All Star. There's some lyrics in there that are just so hit you over the head, like, simple, but how did I not think of this, And what did producer Eric Valentine, and real quick about Eric, because his productions, there's some producers, Greg, and I'm not going to name any names, but, that kind of run everything through their their personal conveyor belt. And you start getting some of the same guitar tones and some of the same drum tones and whatnot. And I love Eric's stuff. Everything from Taking Back Sunday to Queens of the Stone Age, Third Eye Blind, All American Rejects to the Dwarves. Completely different sounds. What did Eric think when he heard Walkin' on the Sun? Did he hear it in that initial demo form, or did he hear it, you guys as a band maybe jamming it?
He heard the demo, and the demo was actually, tucked nicely away in a shoebox in my closet with a bunch of other cassettes of songs that were orphans. And the drummer, our original drummer of Smash Mouth, Kevin Iannello, he's like, hey, let me listen to some of those songs you have laying around. And he did. He took them home, I guess, over the weekend or something like that. And he came, I lived right downstairs from him. And he came pounding on my door one morning and he's like, dude, this is it. We got to play this for Eric. So we went and played it for Eric. And he goes, all right, now we got a record, So yeah, because nothing, I don't know if you've heard that first album, but nothing else sounds like that. It's all, we were going for this pop punk thing, ska punk thing. And then there's that song. It's weird.
Absolutely. And I remember at the time, people kind of calling you a ska punk band. And there's even on Wikipedia, which we know that it isn't always truthful, they credit horn players on this track. But I swear I don't hear any horns on this song.
Not on that song. There are some horns on the album, but not on that song.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think so. But interestingly enough, and we'll talk about it when we get into the chorus, but you play kind of an upstroke ska feel, reggae feel on the chorus of this song. That's really the only kind of nod to the reggae or ska punk on this particular tune. But your guitar playing, and I went and watched your Leno performance, which you guys sound really good on that. You sounded great.
Thank you.
It's sophisticated for someone that was at the time in their 20s.
So don't delay, act now, supplies are running out. Allow it, you're still alive, 6 to 8 years to arrive. And if you follow, there may be out tomorrow, but if the offer's shut, you might as well be walking on the sun.
I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere near of creating something or playing that articulate. You have some really cool note choices in the way you approach the guitar on this track.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. I've always been into, surf music and reggae music. It's like kind of, that's sort of what I liked when I was younger. And, the punk rock sort of came from, Paul, our bass player, and then our drummer was like a speed metal drummer. And so that's just kind of how that sound happened. It was pretty organic, the way it came together. It just ended up sounding kind of current.
I love that the drummer was a speed metal drummer, because the drums on this he's on the crash in the first verse, but it's the lightest thing you've ever heard. It's so jazzy and so cool that it's kind of funny that he came from the just knock your head off speed metal, drumming.
It was probably difficult for him, kind of the way it was difficult for Dave Grohl to play on Unplugged.
Yeah.
You could tell it was painful,
But, this song, kind of being the outlier from the rest of the tracks, again, this has like a 60s retro feel to it. Were you going for that? Because this doesn't really feel reggae or punk rock to me. This tune, nothing sounded like it.
Yeah, we were definitely going for that. That's something that Eric and I learned that we loved. We loved these old records and, even like Lawrence Welk records. We just loved the way they were recorded and, what the musicians were choosing to play and how they were playing, and just the space, the whole ambience of everything is kind of what we were going for. We wanted the drums to sound like, like a surf song, and which they did. They ended up sounding like that. And, it's very minimal. You mentioned the Dwarves earlier. That's actually Black Dahlia's Farfisa that we borrowed for that song.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was kind of hanging around in the studio, and I'm like, we need a Farfisa. He's like, I got one. So we're like, go get it.
I guess he's known Eric and Black have known each other for that long. It was the 90s when they started working together. My gosh. Well, I want to get into this tune. It's 3 minutes and 27 seconds. We get a 8-bar intro. It's that steady ride cymbal with the keyboard figure panned off left and some light kind of bongo percussion for the first half. On bars 5 through 8, we hear some castanets right before the guitar hook of the song comes in panned off right. As those bongos continue, then we get pop, 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 3 snare hits that bring us into verse 1. Did I get the instrumentation right there, Greg?
I've never heard anyone break it down like that, but yeah, that was great.
Okay. You scared me. You had this look on your face like, no, those aren't bongos. Those are timpanis. You idiot.
No, you nailed it.
Recipe. This is a love attack. I know when our body's back, it's just like any fat. It retracts before impact, and just like fashion, it's a passion for the with it and hip. If you got the goods, they'll come in buy it just to stay in the click. So don't delay.
Was this cut live, the basic tracks? Because I'm assuming 96, 97, this was pre-Pro Tools.
Yeah, we cut that album live. We went back and fixed some things, of course, but yeah, for the most part, we all played on that together.
I feel you did because of the way it sounded on a live performance. And that live performance wasn't probably too long after, you guys released this. So, you could tell that it was in your DNA. This wasn't put together in the studio. I can hear that. Oh my gosh. I hear bands on late night TV and I've been like, oh man, this was a totally in the studio thing. These guys are just not delivering.
Yeah. That was really important to Eric that the band plays live. I think that's kind of his rule.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Well, verse 1, we got a ton of lyrics here, and you mentioned kind of a rap thing going on here. It, if you take just the vocals, and there's so many lyrics shoved in here. It ain't no joke. I'd like to buy the world a toke and teach the world to sing in perfect harmony and teach the world to snuff the fires and the liars. Hey, I know it's just a song, but it's spice for the recipe. This is a love attack. I know it went out, but it's back. It's just like any fad. It retracts before impact. And just like fashion, it's a passion for the with it and hip. If you got the goods, they'll come and buy it just to stay in the click.
Okay, let's see. It ain't no joke. I'd like to buy the world a toke. It's obviously a reference from a certain soft drink commercial.
And teach the world. Man, I can hear that. My gosh, you and I are about the same age, and that 70s Coke commercial. I'd like to teach the world to sing.
I'd like to teach the world to sing with me. I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. I'd like to teach the world to sing.
So if you remember that, they were all kind of sitting around and it was a love fest and everybody was just all, woo, Vietnam's over, and that was kind of the vibe, back then. And then that kind of stopped. And then, Reagan came in and then it was like World War III and, everyone's afraid of the nuclear bombs. And it was just, it was like a really dark time. Like we've lived through a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of technology changes, creation of everything, has been in our time, and I think if I remember, like I said, I was in my 20s. I wanted to change the whole world with a song. And I was hoping that would do it, you know?
Well, I the other song that comes to mind, Sublime wrote about the riots. Of course, this song is about the riots. But, going back to 1992, that happened around April, I believe, April of 92. I was on the other side of the country. I was living in Gainesville, Florida at the time. And I certainly remember the riots and Rodney King, but it certainly didn't have the impact. We didn't have social media. It wasn't at your fingertips. I wasn't thinking about it all day like you were. You were right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was happening. I was not in Los Angeles. I was in Northern California, but we were still, affected.
Sure.
People weren't like looting necessarily, but there were marches and people were angry. It was not a great time, not our best moment.
Well, some really cool things here in verse 1. The drums come in super light on the crash. I talked about this a second ago. It's just so light. It's almost inaudible. And they've got a staccato guitar off to the left. I love what that guitar's doing. It's just chirping over there. And again, the way that you played those chords is really cool. The lead vocal is doubled here. It's a subtle double, but I can hear the Steve's voice is doubled on the lines. This is a love attack. I know it went out, but it's back. It's just like any fad. It retracts before impact. We get another unison vocal in there, and I think that's you because you do that live.
Yeah, it is. I'm singing right along with him. We did that quite a bit.
Right, and I'm really, I don't want to say surprised, but your voices mesh so well. How much of that do you attribute to? Obviously, you're a good singer, and you sang on demos and probably worked on the melody line on this song because you wrote it. But was Steve emulating you, and that's why your voices work so well together?
I think so. He liked to have what he called a dummy track. He's like, yeah, can you just
okay,
I'm just gonna, sing like you did on your demo. So that was always sort of like in there while he was singing, and he just kind of matched it, unless he didn't agree with a certain inflection or something that he didn't want to do, he would change it. He definitely put his own spin on everything, but for the most part, it was a blueprint.
Awesome. Yeah. And I love when you come in there. It's just a feature part. It highlights those couple of lines. It's really, really cool. And then just to stay in the click, we get a guitar panned off right. Wah, 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 wah. And that continues through chorus 1. That's the big guitar hook. Right out of verse 1, at that point, we're into chorus 1. I kind of toyed with thinking, like, if you got the goods, they'll come and buy it just to stay in the click, because it changes a little bit there vibe-wise. Maybe call that a pre-chorus. But I think this whole thing's the verse before we drop into chorus 1.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, maybe it's a pre-chorus, because it changes a little bit,
It does. But I'm going to stick with, I'm just calling this the verse. And now we're into chorus 1. The lyrics here are fantastic, Greg.
So don't delay, act now, supplies are running out. Allow if you're still alive, 6 to 8 years to arrive. And if you follow them, may be out tomorrow. But if the office shun, you might as well be walking on the sun.
So don't delay, act now. Supplies are running out. Allow if you're still alive, 6 to 8 years to arrive. And if you follow, there may be a tomorrow. But if the offer's shunned, you might as well be walking on the sun.
So if I remember right, I think I kind of snuck a little bit of a AIDS awareness into that line. That was, kind of back then, everyone was trying to practice safe sex. And if you did contract HIV, then in like 5 to 7 years or something like that, you could have AIDS, is really what they were telling us. And so that's what that line is. I don't know why it has anything to do with anything other than, just what was happening at the time.
That's awesome, man, because I thought it was, don't delay, act now, supplies are running out. If you're still alive, 6 to 8 years, this package you ordered, it might arrive. Because as we know, back then it was a crapshoot. You didn't have tracking like you do now instantaneously. So I thought that was just kind of the next part in the narrative here, but you're kind of blowing my mind. You're saying this was about what was going on with AIDS awareness.
Yeah, it's definitely, while you're reading those lyrics, I'm like, I forgot that's kind of what I was thinking back then. But for the most part, it's sort of like all encompassing, if you're not going to shape up and get along with each other and stop being reckless, with your body and with other people, and, then why are you even alive,
Man, you just jogged a crazy memory. Our A&R guy, when he was courting us for Capitol Records in 1995, took us to a movie to see that movie Kids. It was about age. You remember that flick?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That was a dark movie.
Very dark. Yeah. I saw that in the theater too. It was like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah, it was a bummer. Chorus 1, we get harmonies on everything here except the last line. You might as well be walking on the sun. Drums, bass, organ, and guitar. The organ and the guitar are panned off left, along with the guitar right, playing the guitar hook of the song. The backing vocal harmony is very subtle, as is the lead vocal here. You talked about those Lawrence Welk records and the way they were produced, Sometimes he'd bust out and lift a chorus up, but a lot of times it was almost, that Sinatra, Bing Crosby, almost talking type delivery. And it's very subtle here. It's not like the chorus all of a sudden raises up like, and Steve's singing really loud. And I find that very, very curious for a pop hit song. This is an odd chorus, but it's awesome.
Yeah, really the only thing that lifts there is an octave sung on top of it.
Yes.
The music is just flatlined through the whole song, except for the riff. I don't know if that was a choice or, I mean, it must have been a choice, but I don't know who made it. The chorus didn't lift at all.
That's what I was going to ask you is who made that choice and the harmonies here. Do you remember, or that octave, do you remember working that out?
Yeah, it was like that on the demo. In fact, the chorus was the only thing in that song that was sung. The rest of it was spoken.
Wow.
Like all the verses were just like I said before, it was just like, it sounded like I was talking through a bullhorn.
Did you have a lot of the hook lyric there? Was that already in place for the chorus?
Yeah. I mean, the song is, the structure of it, the arrangement and everything is exact, except for Steve sung it. And maybe that was the other thing, is like I had a ride cymbal going through the whole song. And, that was kind of like the thing that they did in surf music. And it's like, it started with like the teen beat, and the ride cymbal. And it was just like, it just kind of went through the whole song, just did that, and that's kind of what I wanted to happen. So maybe that's what happened.
Well, and the guitar panned off left here. I kind of said it has like a ska reggae feel, but it's mixed with surf. You kind of did something here a little. It's really, really cool. Like I said, I really, really enjoy what you played here and the feel that you played with it, because as a young songwriter, I wouldn't have heard that. I would have dismissed that, or as a young guitar player. And when I zoned in on this song, I'm like, man, that's cool. You were young when you wrote that, and I really respect that.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
Hey everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more with Greg Camp coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
Google is offering free AI training and tools to U.S. small businesses so they can innovate in ways both big and small. Built by Google experts, the Google AI Professional Certificate equips small businesses with practical AI skills. Through hands-on projects, they can start using AI to get more done and unlock new opportunities for their business. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at grow.google/business.
The Colonel's cooked up a new $10 bucket of the day just for you. Monday, 24 nuggets for $10. Tuesday, 8-piece fried chicken for $10. Wednesday, 10 wings for $10. Thursday, 8 tenders for $10. Friday, 24 nuggets for... Ooh, you guessed it, didn't you? $10. The $10 bucket of the day deal. Every weekday, only at KFC. It's finger-licking good.
Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Not available on third-party ordering platforms. Tax extra.
Welcome to a new era of baseball's great spectacle. The T-Mobile Home Run Derby, live on Netflix. The biggest sluggers in baseball put their talents to the test on All-Star Weekend. Raw power meets star power. Big swagger meets bigger slams. And you don't swing to make contact. You swing to make history. Watch the T-Mobile Home Run Derby live on Netflix this Monday, July 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
I get so many headaches every month.
It could be chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those who have 14 or fewer headache days a month. Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor. Visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Hey friends, DeMakes here. If you love DeMakes a podcast and you'd like to help us continue bringing you great episodes each week, please take a minute to check out DeMakes.com. That's where you'll find our Patreon. Our Patreon supporters get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus episode that people have raved to us about for years. You can also get ad-free, early releases of each week's episode of DeMakes a podcast, as well as unedited video versions of the show. Even if you're not sure if you want to sign up, you can go to DeMakes.com and sign up for a free account. We'll throw you a free preview episode here and there. We can't thank you enough for all the support. And if you have a few extra bucks and you want to help us keep the lights on, our Patreon is the way to do it. Head to DeMakes.com to learn more.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
And now, back to the show.
Coming out of chorus 1, we get a 4-bar reintro, drums, bass, but we get a new organ hook panned off to the left. Guitar off left is still there, and the guitar right is playing that big fuzz hook.
Walking on the sun. 25 years ago, they spoke out and they broke out of recession and oppression, and together they took and they folk out with guitars around a bonfire, just singing and clapping. Man, what the hell happened? That some were spellbound, some were hellbound, some they fell down, and some got back up and fought back against the meltdown. And their kids were hippie chicks, all hypocrites, because fashion is smashing the true meaning of it. So don't do that.
25 years ago, they spoke out and they broke out of recession and oppression, and together they toked. And they folked out with guitars around a bonfire, just singing and clapping, man. What the hell happened? Then some were spellbound, some were hellbound. Some they fell down, and some got back up and fought back against the meltdown. And their kids were hippie chicks, all hypocrites,
because fashion is smashing, the true meaning of it.
So my stepfather fought in the Vietnam War, and he was just kind of like when veterans, when they got back, we didn't celebrate them, but we sure protested the war, and we sure started dressing in fatigues and wearing, like, it kind of became like a style to go to the army surplus and wear the clothes that these people, who knows, may have died in. That's kind of a lot that's happening in that thing. It's like they really didn't get what actually happened. I don't think, they turned it into like a fashion statement and grew their hair out, anti-establishment, like they're like the first punks,
Interesting. Yeah. Cause I got a whole feel middle of this verse, like the Haight-Ashbury movement and what was happening, and sitting around the bonfire and the folk out with guitars, etc. And I'm just, and I told you to talk about the lyrics, what was going on in your head 25. Heck, we're talking 32, 33 years ago now when you wrote this. But I just think it's really cool how you put all these lyrics together and they somehow made a complete thought and a complete hit single, because this is pretty crazy.
Right. Well, it's also strange to think that when I wrote it, it had only been 25 years since the Vietnam War was,
It's almost like this cassette that was living in your closet on that piece of tape that it was sitting on. It was kind of like living on its own, that it somehow got it back out of that closet into the hands of your bandmate and became, the band's signature song. It just trips me out. It's almost like it had its own life.
It's strange, it's like I can't explain how much luck has happened in this band, good and bad. But, that song was just in the right place at the right time, had the right sound. Carson Daly was a friend of ours. This is before MTV. He was on the radio in San Jose, California on KOME. And then while we were recording the song and it was on the radio and it was kind of showing a little bit of success, he moved to world famous K-Rock and took that song with him. And that was another just being in the right place at the right time. Kevin Weatherly started putting it into rotation. He was the program director for K-Rock back then. And, all the record companies started going, who are these guys? And so there was a little bit of a feeding frenzy, but we ended up going with Interscope.
That is so cool. Such a great story. And, it makes me wonder, how many hit singles are laying in a shoebox in someone's closet? Are there any? There's gotta be.
I've thought the same thing.
Well, a bunch of stuff happening here in verse 2. Same instrumentation as verse 1. The first half here of verse 2, though, we get a new organ figure panned off to the right. On the lines, some they fell down and some got back up and fought back against the meltdown. Another unison vocal comes in again, and that organ part along with it is bigger and louder here. And on the last two lines, the organ goes back to the pads like they were at the top of this verse. Every verse, everything that's happening so far, it's different elements, different things coming in and out and breathing. And sounds like that was something that was conscious on Eric Valentine's mind.
Yeah, he actually played the organ parts on that song. And so he was doubling the melody in the what we might call the pre-chorus of dun 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 dun.
Yes.
All that. He's doubling that. And then there's also a new vocal in there.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I did have that in my notes for verse 1. We started talking about your vocal and I left this part off. There is a choppy organ mimicking the melody line there, bouncing with it. It's such a cool feel and such an easy trick. I hate using the word easy. It's it's an easy trick, but it's awesome. It lifts this vocal here. It kind of does what a harmony would do.
And I can't remember if the demo had something like that, but it could have. I used like Casio keyboards and nylon string guitars on my demos. It's like they sound so weird, and the castanet was actually a real that I liked. I've had percussion instruments my whole life since I was a kid. In fact, it was probably a toy castanet that we used.
That is great. Well, chorus 2 comes right off the heels of verse 2. Same overall instrumentation here in chorus 2, as well as the vocal and harmony placement. But the fuzz guitar is louder here. It's bigger, panned off to the right, and a
barely audible organ is holding out long notes underneath it all here that wasn't present in chorus 1. And I kept rewinding this part. I'm like, okay, the guitar sounds a little bit bigger. The drums sound like they're playing the same feel. What is going on? And then it dawned on me that there's these pads running there that weren't in chorus 1. I love stuff like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that. So thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I guess that there is like very subtle builds in the song, but for the most part, the drums stay the same. You know, there may have been some nudges in the volume of things, but just kind of flatline.
So don't delay, act now, supplies are running out. Allow if you're still alive, 6 to 8 years to arrive. And if you follow, there may be out tomorrow. But if the authors shine, you might as well be walking on the sun.
Did Eric mix the record as well?
Yeah. In fact, back then they didn't have, you know, automated faders and stuff like that. Well, they had them, we just didn't have it, you know, so we had this big old 60s Neve console, and we put marks with a pencil where things needed to go and when. And everybody had their fingers on that board during the mixes of that album. They're like, okay, back down. Okay. Oh, you messed up. We got to go do it again. You know, it's like trial and error.
I love that. And for anybody listening that doesn't understand what Greg meant by automation, it's, you know, there's boards, you know, that back then and of course today that you just program everything. Okay, here's where the volume comes down for this vocal. Here's where the horn part comes up or the keyboard part comes up. But they were doing it all manual, standing around going, okay, here's the part. And then we're going to fade it down to where the hash mark is. And I would see that in old, you know, Queen or Zeppelin studio videos and stuff, and always thought it was so cool. And I don't recall doing that on any Less Than Jake records. I think that's neat you did it here.
But you guys had a bigger budget than we did.
Then why do our records not sound as good as yours?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, because I guess all those little fingers on the faders, you know, they humanize everything.
Difference between my band and Greg Camp's band, the fingers on the faders. Okay, I'm going to go with that. Chorus 2, again, we got the harmonies on everything except the last line. You might as well be walking on the sun. And then we get into an 8-bar organ jam. Drums, bass, guitar right, guitar left, and an organ panned off left, soloing away. And at the end, left and right, we get this like, I don't know, it's like space noise. I don't know if that was from a guitar pedal or from a Leslie or something. It feels like we're kind of having liftoff, and that spaceship noise kind of bleeds over into the first couple lines of verse 3. What am I hearing there with those flangers or something?
It's a tape echo feeding back, you know, like you put it on, you know, you turn the feedback all the way up and it regenerates. The tape keeps going around and gets crustier and crustier every time. There's a rolling space echo.
It's the old Tom Scholz Boston thing.
Mm-hmm. Genius.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And then we get in to verse 3. You know, this 8-bar organ jam kind of suffices as a bridge here, but then we get down into verse 3.
Handkerchief is soaked with the tears because the baby's life has been revoked. The bond is broke, got so choke up and focus on the close up. Mr. Wills can't reform. No God like hocus pocus, so don't sit back, kick back and watch the world get bushwhacked. News that's in your neighborhood is under attack. Put away the crack before the crack put you away. You need to be there when your baby's old enough to relate.
It ain't no joke when a mama's handkerchief is soaked with her tears because her baby's life has been revoked. The bond is broke up, so choke up and focus on the close-up. Mr. Wizard can't perform no godlike hocus pocus. So don't sit back, kick back, and watch the world get bushwhacked. News at 10, your neighborhood is under attack. Put away the crack before the crack puts you away. You need to be there when your baby's old enough to relate. Man, there's some cool stuff in here. That's a tough line to just read. You mean when the mama's handkerchief is soaked with her tears and blood because her baby's life's been revoked.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely thinking about the parents of, it's like gang violence in Los Angeles and everywhere really, but just how you're not supposed to die first when you're a child, and just that is just, I even before I had my own children knew that was probably the worst thing that anyone could go through. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about there, I guess.
Yeah, man, I had a couple of friends growing up, brothers, who were out, reckless driving one night, and they both died, and I had to go to their funeral. And when I saw their mother, this is way before I had kids too, and I'll never forget that. It's haunted me my whole life. I knew as well as you that you don't want to go through that as a parent. You're not supposed to bury your children. The first couple lines here of verse 3, it's like the intro, and that's what else I like about this. It brings it back down with the ride cymbal and the bongos, but the ride cymbal has a different feel here. It's not all straight. It has a little hiccup in it. That is so cool how it moves this part differently. Do you recall that being worked out?
I don't really remember that. I just I just remember it coming down in volume or velocity. I don't remember him doing anything different.
It is so subtle.
Does he?
Yeah, he does. It's so subtle. It's not just tick, 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 really soft and steady. It's this tick, tick, hiccup, tick, 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 hiccup. It's really, really, really neat. And really, to me, makes this part. It's a different feel from the top, and it just makes it stand out, but it's subtle. We get an organ panned off left and a guitar panned off right. And then on line 3, that guitar comes in on The Bond Is Broke Up. On Mr. Wizard Can't Perform, No Godlike Hocus Pocus, a high-pitched organ comes in, panned off right, and continues through verse 3. So don't sit back, kick back, and watch the world get bushwhacked. The drums are back in with bass, guitar panned left, now even more playful. The guitar here, you really kind of opened up your strumming here in verse 3. Do you remember that at all? It's a little different.
Nope.
Nope.
I don't remember that.
I wonder if you were cutting this live off the floor that you just felt a little more comfortable and open and playful here, and that's just how you played it.
I think that what was tracked live was that part, the bass and the drums, and everything else was added later. So I think that we just kind of started getting into catching a groove or something. And I do really quickly, the thing that you were talking about earlier that sounds like a spaceship taking off.
Yeah.
So that is the farfisa being turned off. So if you hold a note on it and turn it off, it bends the pitch. So it goes like that. And so that with the tape echo, that's how we got that sound. So I forgot about that.
Okay. That is very cool. The other thing that I thought was interesting here, and it would have been around the line, don't sit back, kick back, and watch the world get bushwhacked. There's no double unison vocal from you there. That's just Steve.
Yeah, it's just Steve, and he didn't sing the melody there. He kind of almost started getting a little more angry about it and going back to what the demo sounded like, which was, like I said, it sounded like somebody yelling at a protest.
A lot of times when a song builds, and there's no, obviously with songwriting, there's no right or wrong way, but a lot of times, you wouldn't have your vocal maybe the first verse, or maybe it would come in the second, or maybe it wouldn't come in until the third verse, and then you do the unison there as the song builds. And I just thought that was cool. It happened the verse 1, verse 2, but you don't hear the unison here in verse 3.
Yeah, interesting. I think that's what happened. I think he wanted to kind of scream a little bit. He was mad.
Very cool. Well, we come out of that right into chorus 3. If it's not broke, don't fix it, Greg. I mean, you're not going to introduce any more lyrics here. It's already a mouthful. Harmony placement's the same. You might as well be walking on the sun is just Steve alone. And then we get a tag. We get the refrain. You might as well be walking on the sun for 4 times. We get a super loud organ figure here from the solo. It's nice and centered here along with the rest of the band and the lead vocal.
So don't delay, act now, supplies are running out. Allow if you're still alive, 6 to 8 years to arrive. And if you follow them, be out tomorrow. But if we off the shunt, you might as well be walking on the sun. You might as well be walking on the sun. You might as well be walking on the sun. You might as well be
And the last thing we hear is like I'm thinking it's from that Farfisa again. It's like I wrote a reverb spring from the organ or the guitars, like ran through a Leslie, and it kind of fades out. Like I counted like 4.5, 5 bars there before it goes away. Is that what we're hearing there at the end?
It's the tape echo again. It's that Roland space echo. Just bow, 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 bow. You know, I think it was on everything at that point.
What's it like 5.5 years, or however long, 5 years after you wrote the song, it was shoved in a shoebox, never to be heard from again, and now you're hearing Eric Valentine's final mix of this? Are you getting a mix back? What did that feel like as a songwriter?
Incredible. You know, it's like, I mean, this is exactly the music I've always wanted to make. This is what is happening up here, and it's coming out of speakers now. It's one of the best feelings in the world, and only surpassed by laying in the bed of Carson Daly's truck going over Mulholland and him opening the back window and hearing it on the radio for the first time. That's the first time I heard it, is laying down in the back of his truck so the cops wouldn't see me. And we're driving over Mulholland, and he whips the window open. He goes, "Dude, listen," cranks it up, and the rest of the band is up in the cab. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. You know, incredible.
Oh man, I got full goosebumps. I love that. And I love it. I'm so happy that happened to you, and such a cool story. I can't stop talking about the cassette. It was just shoved in a closet, and it was this, you know, you had your fingerprints and your DNA on it, and it went in a closet, and here it came back. And at that point, did you know it was a hit or had the potential to do what it did?
Yeah. After we recorded it and we heard it mixed and everything and it was mastered, we were like, this is something, you know, I don't know what. It doesn't sound like anything else that's on the radio. Who knows if anyone's going to like it, but we sure loved it, you know? And so it was just such a nice bonus that lots of people liked it, you know?
It's amazing. I think it's such a great story, how all the lyrics came together, how you were able to, you know, translate it to not only the rest of your bandmates, but to Steve, you know. And we talked about how, you know, you do that in a band. You start to emulate each other and to figure out, hey, how can we sing together? That's part about being in a band. And the whole thing's just really fascinating. Before we break, anything going on in the world of Greg Camp you'd like to let the listeners know about?
Let's see. You know, I'm in the band The Defiant with Dickie Barrett and Pete Parada.
Yep.
Joey LaRocca. We're still plugging away, writing and recording, but we don't live in the same city. And so it's difficult for all of us to get together. But when we do, we bang out a bunch of songs. And so we just did that recently, and just kind of putting some final touches on things, and that'll be released pretty soon. We're not sure how or why or where or what, but they're good. They're very good. In fact, I think we found our groove.
And in the next 10 years, we're getting about that age, Greg. You know, when are we going to see Walkin' on the Sun in an arthritis commercial?
Well, I don't know.
It's coming. It's coming, buddy.
I don't know. That song doesn't get a ton of syncs. Like, it was in Been Caught Stealing recently, the Austin Butler movie. But you know, I think that it's more like it'll show up to show people what the era is, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not like All Star, which is people just put it in everything, you know?
Sure. No, and I asked that, and I was kind of being tongue in cheek and funny, but so many of you know, my contemporaries, bands from the '90s, they're starting to show up and come. It's like, okay, that song had a big enough of a cultural impact that they can now sell you know, antacids with it or something. So I had to throw that out there. But man, thank you so much. I truly look up to you as a songwriter, and I'm glad we've been able to connect a couple times here.
I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you so much for saying that. And I always love talking to you guys. And so anytime.
You're gonna do it again, the way that you walk. It's just the way that you talk, like it ain't no thing. And every single day is just a blink. Then the morning comes.
All right, I hope you all enjoyed that conversation with Greg Camp. He's always a great guest, and I got lots to talk to Chris about in the rap segment that's coming right up after a few words from our sponsors, so don't go anywhere.
Do you hear that? Sounds like breakfast is ready. Because Quaker's coming in hot with morning nutrition. 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber to fuel the rhythm of your morning and kickstart your day. And that sounds absolutely delicious. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Did you know Sam's Club isn't a store? It's actually a club. With cool finds and like a whole community. It's a club.
Of course, Jason. It's in the name. Sam's Club.
Oh, yeah. Come join us. Sam's Club.
Everyone knows that unexplainable it factor, that smile that lights up a room, that wow. Well, it doesn't happen by itself. There's chemistry behind the charisma. Colgate Optic White Pro Series toothpaste removes 15 years of deep-set stains when you brush twice daily for 2 weeks. How? The clinically proven formula is powered by Colgate's hydrogen peroxide complex. It works at the molecular level to gently dissolve stains deep within the enamel where your brush can't reach. It's proof that daily routine can be remarkable. That's the science of wow. Colgate Optic White.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $4,000 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, ChatGPT Business, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Honey, did you invite the minions over?
Well, you know how we talked about getting Wi-Fi from Xfinity?
Yeah.
I ordered it this morning, was online in minutes, then they showed up.
So they just came over to use the Wi-Fi? For what?
Better not to know.
Get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi from Xfinity. Plus, lock in your price for 5 years and see Minions and Monsters only in theaters. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
When you're 7-Eleven's hottest fire chicken sandwich, people think you're intense.
Well, yeah, I'm hot!
So, yeah, intense. Want to see if you can handle the heat? Then try me. With pickles or spicy mayo and jalapenos. Oh, and it's all just $4.99. That's a deal almost as hot as I am. Almost! Sweets? No. Spicy? See for yourself. $4.99 and only at 7-Eleven. Valid through 8/25/26. Participating stores only while supplies last. Visit the store for full terms.
Do you like music, learning about good music, and laughing at bad music? Well, I have the show for you. I'm Chris DeMakes, a podcast producer, Chris Fafalius, and my One Hit Thunder co-host Matt Kelly and I are 300-plus episodes deep into revisiting one-hit wonders to decide if they deserve a second listen or should stay safely buried in your memory. We give every artist a fair shot, roast them when necessary, and when a band or artist is actually really good, we officially certify them Thunder, and maybe someday we'll even get around to sending out those notarized certificates. Basically, it's an incredibly fun music podcast, so smash that subscribe button on One Hit Thunder wherever you get your pods.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is Ricky Rochelle, an American musician and songwriter from Long Beach, New York. Best known as the singing drummer for the Young Rochelles, Ricky has now released several solo albums. He's on all major social media platforms and his music is streaming everywhere. Here's a snippet of his song, Head Voice.
All the bad things I'm thinking about swirl around in a tornado of doubt. Can I borrow your mind for a day? 'Cause I'm tired with my head voice. Yeah, I toss and turn at night. Need to get myself alright. Where's my meditation tape? 'Cause I'm tired with my head voice.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
Man, Chris, when I was listening to you guys talk, I was thinking about how time trips me out, man. This song was written so long ago that it was in the wake of Rodney King.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, when this song came out in 1997, to what age I was then, 1992 seemed like it was 50 years before that, you know? So time perception, right? It just gets distorted as we get older.
Well, you're talking to Greg, who wrote a hit song in the mid-90s that's referencing like musical styles and themes of like the late 60s and early 70s. Then you think about the fact that rock and roll music of that era is inspired by music from only 20 years before that, if that. The music of that era is influenced by Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Fats Domino, Bo Diddley, these people. And man, that's pretty much it. That is pretty much the entire course of what we call rock and roll music. I mean, you could take it back a little bit further. Like there was, you know who Sister Rosetta Tharpe is? Who is like, you'll see videos of her, like these black and white videos of her playing. She's kind of who influenced like Chuck Berry and Elvis and stuff. But that's about as far as you can take it. So what I'm getting at is like this entire course of rock and roll history, it's not that long.
No, not long at all. We're talking about a very, very short span of time. I often talked, I graduated high school in 1991. Go back 30 years to that, it was 1961. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't even fathom that at that age, and it still seems weird now. But on that tape, that recording, I feel like that was a living, breathing organism some way that made it back out of that closet. Like it just defies logic that somehow it was able to come back and be their signature song. And I think it trips Greg out too.
This is a person writing a song, recording it on a tape, and it's just kind of like a series of luck and circumstances. And
was this a spiritual thing on a piece of tape that somehow, like, how did it make it out? And I even kind of threw it back at Greg later, and I said, how many other hit songs are in some dude's closet, in a shoebox?
Right. Yeah. I think that's more of like, hey, I would buy into more of like not that I'm a spiritual guy, but this is some sort of unexplained power that brought this song back out of that closet that it was sitting in or whatever. So I could buy more into that story maybe.
Well, and talk about what an outlier the song was. It doesn't sound like anything on the record. I've listened to the record, it did have leanings to kind of pop punk and whatnot. And, I'm kind of almost amazed we didn't hear it just because of how many times we've heard on the show that this song wasn't left off the record almost because it was too left of center.
Right. Yeah. Smash Mouth did get sort of like, they were kind of on the outskirts of that era you and I have talked about a bunch where ska punk had its big moment or whatever. They had some songs like when they did that cover of
Why Can't We Be Friends?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That song was very much probably the most ska punk thing they had of their singles or whatever. So they were in that world a little bit. And dude, there's just so many references in this episode all throughout history and made me think about so many things. Like he said, when he wrote this song, the Vietnam War was only like 20 to 25 years in the rearview mirror. I mean, the Vietnam War, when he wrote this song, was closer in history than we are from 9/11 right now.
Yeah, I know. Which is just, it's mind-boggling. And, there's certainly been people that have tried to shoehorn as many lyrics or as many topics into a song, okay? It's the end of the world as we know it. That's a great example, REM. But in this song, it's just, I knew some of them. I knew you buy the world a Coke and sing in perfect harmony. I knew that song. But, talking about, if you're still alive, he's talking about AIDS there.
Right.
I never would have put two and two together with that.
Yeah, which I mean, the AIDS and safe sex and all that stuff in the early to mid 90s, that's another thing that really puts a timestamp on this song. And there's that, which at the time was a current thing, but also within this song, now I said it was a throwback to like the sound and style of the late 60s and early 70s, somewhere in that era, but you're also referencing I'd Like to Buy the World a Coke, which was this commercial song that was also on its own like a hit song.
Yeah, it became a hit. And I can see the little kids. There was hundreds of them, or dozens of them, of all races, white kids, Asian kids, black kids, all holding hands and singing, I'd like to buy the world a Coke, perfect harmony. And, you replace Coke with Toke here, but it goes along with what he was talking about, that whole hippie movement and how, maybe their intentions were right, but, a lot of disillusionment with what was going on, the soldiers coming home, getting spit on, and it was a tumultuous time.
Yeah. There's just so much stuff to think about in this episode. And he brought up that I didn't know this part of their story. You happen to be friends with Carson Daly, who goes on to become not only influential as a K-rock DJ, but then goes on to be on MTV. What a crazy thing that he's talking about listening to this song while riding in Carson Daly's truck.
Yeah, and there's plenty of guys in bands that have famous friends and they didn't get on the radio and it didn't happen to them.
Right.
Not giving sole credit to Carson, but that is really cool. And that's where Less Than Jake met him before he ever got to MTV. He was a jock at K-Rock, and we met him years ago. But I also want to talk a little bit about Eric Valentine. I had mentioned it to Greg in the episode. There's some producers, it starts to get homogenized. Again, the guitar sounds, everything's, run through the same compressors, the vocal chains, etc. And I know Eric from Third Eye Blind, Taking Back Sunday, Queens of the Stone Age, Good Charlotte, The Dwarves. He approaches each band like they're unique, as you should. And it sounds like he was able to really make this song unique out of the other, how many tracks? 11 songs on the album besides this one that didn't sound like this. He was able to zone in on this and give it its own identity.
Yeah, I think being able to stand out from the pack and have something that sounds unique and not like everything else. Dude, there's so many songs and bands out there that are just carbon copies of a carbon copy of another band. And I kind of think in our world that tends to happen, where you have a million bands that sound like, I don't know, Newfound Glory or like Blink or,
Sure.
It is very cool to be able to like this. Yeah. Instantaneously, this is Smash Mouth. This song. Okay, maybe if you turn back the clock to the 60s, you're going to find something that sounds in this realm. But whether you like the song or not, who it is, and it doesn't sound like anything else from that era.
Yeah, exactly. I'd said that to Greg, and that's a huge compliment, and I absolutely admire his songwriting. I really love what he's done. Chris, you got a review for us?
I do have a review for us, Chris. This one comes from... it's a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts that comes from, hey, it's Matt Albert.
Hey, it's Matt Albert.
Oh, I get it now. I get it.
Yep.
I thought it at
Fat
first,
Albert, Matt Albert.
I get it now. At first, I thought it was a reference to the Chris DeMakes a Podcast theme song, but now I get it when I read it out loud. Yeah. Who wrote, I guess I'm a fake fan. And his review was, I honestly didn't realize I never left a review. But having been a listener and supporter since day one, here it is, 300 plus episodes later.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Matt Albert, not Fat Albert. Thank you, Matt Albert, for your review.
It's never too late to leave a review. Even if you've been listening to the podcast since day one, you can go to Apple Podcasts, you can go to Spotify, you can leave us those 5 stars. And, in its own way, in its little way, I think it helps people find out about the podcast one way or another.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for everybody for listening. I want to thank this week's guest, Greg Camp, for sitting in the hot seat. We'll catch you next week. Hey, friends. Have you been loving Chris DeMakes a Podcast? Well, spread the love by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't hesitate to share what you enjoy about the show in an actual written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help more people discover us, but we often read reviews in the wrap segment of the show. It's a quick, cost-free way to support us and takes just a minute of your time. Your reviews mean the world to us and help us keep the podcast thriving. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for being a friend.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
This summer at Wolf Trap, Lizzo, Josh Groban, Erykah Badu, John Batiste, Tedeschi Trucks Band, James Taylor, and many more. Tickets on sale now at wolftrap.org.